Okay, so for those of you that haven't been at Imurst the last 2 weeks, it kind of looks like everybody has, almost. But we've been talking about speaking life and talked about the power of our words and taming the tongue and speaking correction with an attitude of love. And I was actually, so like he said, I'm a missionary with Youth with a Mission. I just did a School of Evangelism in Tyler, Texas, which is a 5-month training program. And we went the last 3 weeks of my outreach. I was in Lesbos, Greece at Camp Moria, which is a refugee camp. And this had to be a place full of people that desperately needed life, and they needed hope, and they needed joy. And God, he gave me this verse, actually Isaiah 55:11, before I went, saying that I'm going to send you and you're going to speak life, and it won't come back void, my word. But yeah, so we go to this place, Camp Moria. If you were to ask any refugee that's currently in Camp Moria or has passed through this camp, they would all say, Moria is a big problem. It's no good. They hate it there. It's like the atmosphere there is depressing. It's hopeless and full of tension. There's 2,200 people from over 40 different nations, all compact into this one place. And when I say full of tension, imagine like smaller than this stage, maybe from like here over, 30 men from different nations speaking different languages, different backgrounds, different cultures. They're all living together, and they have one bathroom, so their space is like their bed. And for 14 months, they're just waiting. And also when I say like this place is in need of life, well, they need real life, which I believe is Jesus, but they're fleeing for their life because they're they're displaced because of war or persecution. And I don't know, have you heard of like the Syrian war? It's pretty big. Yeah? Okay, cool. Most of you have. Sounds good. Yes, so there's actually 65.3 million people in the world that have been forcibly displaced. So it's not just Syria. Syria is a tiny little fraction of it that we get to hear about. So yeah, Camp Moria, there's 2,200 people that me and a team of 12 people got to go and serve them and speak life into them, value into their lives through acts of love because Jesus sent us. And we got to tell them that too, but sort of. Okay, so let me start over. My notes are so random, you guys, so I'm sorry. I tried to prepare, but Jesus can speak through my mess, right? Yeah, so depressing. Oh yeah, I have examples for depressing, hopeless, and full of tension. So, yes, the atmosphere is completely depressing because all these people have come from countries of war. So their stories, they've left their families, left their jobs, left everything, and they've been told that if they come here, their life's going to be better. They can come and work and send money back to their family. But they get here and they're stuck inside a military facility that looks like a prison camp, and they can't do anything. They can't leave. They're not accepted into this new country. They're just stuck in this camp until paperwork's processed, and hopefully they can get into this country. 90% of them are going to be deported back, and they don't all know that. So it's a pretty hopeless situation, and just listening to their stories, it's like one guy, Oliver, I was distributing clothes and to him, helping him pick out outfits, and he just started telling me his story and left in tears, was like, it's just been a hard life. And I'm like, oh, I was very weepy, but like, he was walking down the street with his friend in Congo, and his friend just gets shot next to him. And another time, like, he resisted authority and got stabbed in the back. Like, this is just normal day for them, you know? So, I don't know, it's just kind of ridiculous. hopeless. So I met another guy. His name's Starboy. He's big trouble. But he would just like sit with us when we were guarding his gate. I'll get to what we did at the camp in a little bit, but we were guarding a gate and we just sit there for 8 hours and let people in and out of where they lived just for security reasons. And he would sit there at the gate with us for like, it was probably 4 hours, and he just talked with us. And a friend walked by and he offered him a cigarette, and I was like, hey, why do you do that? He was like, well, when I smoke and when I drink, it's the only way I can get my mind to stop thinking. I was like, well, like thinking about what? He's like, what I'm going to do when I get out of here, if I'm going to get out of here. And just, he's like, I can never stop thinking, am I going to get it out? Am I going to get out? Am I going to make it out? So they're literally, like, their minds are in this prison of, this is the end. There's no hope for me. This place is awful. Yeah. So this was a place that even these people, they see life after life just taken before their eyes. And so the value of life just, I think it's decreased in their eyes, and they don't see the purpose of life as much. And so, yeah, my team got to go, and we partnered with Euro Relief, which is a nonprofit governmental organization that just goes and they serve and they meet their needs. And it's actually almost all Christians that run this thing. So we got to like have devotions and stuff before we would go start and pray. But so things we did, we were security. So like I said, there's over 40 different nations here, and they try to keep them in the same area because there's a lot of riots, and the police will have to come in, and before they've even had to like let tear gas go just to break a riot up, so it can get pretty intense. So for security, we would stand at gates. This was the most boring job, guys. Sometimes it felt like we were doing nothing, but we would sit and people would come up and they'd show us a wristband and we'd be like, okay, you live on this level, you can come in. And just all day long, that's all we did. But like it was meeting a need so that they would be safe and people wouldn't come in and steal their stuff and mess with them while they're sleeping or whatever. So that was one thing. Another thing we did was the logistical side of that, which is getting their paperwork done so that they can get wristbands and housing. We had new arrivals that would come in, and we just go to rooms and ask, hey, can these guys come in and live with you? And we served food and clothing, which was really fun. They didn't really like the food, so we got yelled at a lot. We did a lot of maintenance, fixing doors, holes in tents, getting new beds, mattresses, blankets. We cleaned the camp, picked up a lot of trash, which if I have time, I'm going to tell you a funny story about that. We served tea, and my favorite was making friends, and I think that was actually one of the biggest needs that they had and something that the Lord allowed us to do. But so all we were doing were super simple acts of love, and it spoke life and value back into these people because we're saying, hey, you're worth our time, you're worth our money, you're worth leaving my family, my school for a little bit or whatever behind so that I can come and just meet your needs because your life is valuable. And yeah, so we got to do that. And my favorite definition of love is benefiting others at your expense. And that, like, Jesus is the greatest act of love ever, right? Like, what he did for us, that is the greatest act of love. And I don't know, being here and getting to serve touched my heart in so many ways because I saw what Jesus would do to reach them. And one day, I'm picking up this trash. It is the nastiest trash I've ever seen or smelled in my life. My dad thinks it's a miracle I didn't get sick. But there's a small mountain about that big. And it's been there probably months or at least a month, because I picked up kiwis, which I hadn't seen for the 3 weeks I distributed food. And there were wet sleeping bags with brown stuff on them that I'm going to assume is mud, but it didn't smell like it. And there was moldy food. I went to pick up this bag, and maggots started crawling out, like, disgusting, so gross. And in the midst of it, I'm like, okay, Lord, like, I can still talk to you today because, like, it'll make this better. So, like, what are you doing? Where are you at in this camp? And in my head, I'm assuming he's probably out talking to people at a gate, sitting, hanging out. And he was like, no, Whitney, you're my hands. And I was like, no. Like, you're the King of Kings, pure, holy. You cannot touch this. It's gross. And he was like, I took your sin. Like, I took the worst of sin. And, like, just got a picture of him, like, wiping the trash on him. Like, this is nothing. It's like, it's worth it, Whitney, if it opens a door for them to, like, have relationship with me. And that's what I felt like through our little acts of love, doors for relationship were opened. I was like, I'm here to testify tonight that love is an open door. Hello, Frozen. Yeah. So, but yeah, as we were serving and, like, getting to know these people, we were just building a relationship with them, which I also thought was crazy because they know we're there for 3 weeks. Like, we can come and leave as we want. They can't. They're stuck. And they just see these people coming in and out. And I was like, that's so hard. I'd be, like, mad at these people. But I think they knew that we were there to love them, and we were there, like, investing our time and money because we saw that they were valuable, and they wanted to get to know us and, like, really let us in. And people were crying when we left, like, we don't even know how to thank you guys, like, and why would you even do this? We can't give you anything in return. And, like, there's open doors right there through those small, simple acts of love when it felt like we were doing nothing. And now we get to say, it's because of Jesus. So, oh yeah, did I mention, this was really important, we weren't allowed to openly share our faith because it's a military facility. So also the first day, I was like, School of Evangelism. I just went through 3 months of training, learning how to share my faith, understanding their faith so that I can tell them about Jesus, and now I can't. But, like, God was opening doors as we were just loving, and they would come, and one guy was like, hey, can I ask you a question? Are you a Christian? I was like, yeah. He was like, can I ask you some more questions just about what you believe? Had, like, a 3-4 hour conversation with this guy about, well, this is what I believe about Jesus, that he is the Son of God. And this was closer to the beginning, and by the end of the 3 weeks, when we were leaving, he was, like, saying, I want to see you again. And I just got to tell him, I'm here because of Jesus, and I get to do what I do because of what Jesus has done for me. And he was like, yes, I'm going to see you again because through Jesus, we're one family. It's because of Jesus, I'm going to see you again. And I was like, he's getting it. Yeah, keep searching. Yeah, so I think I just wanted to encourage you guys tonight. Like, he's on the move, and he wants to reach those people that they don't see life, they don't see hope, they don't see themselves as worthy, they don't see themselves as having purpose or hope for the future. And God is so in the midst of it, and he's so like, no, even when you have absolutely nothing to give, I want to have a relationship with you because I think you're special. Woo. So he's a good dad. But yeah, and then I also just think Jesus performed the greatest act of love, and when we act in love, we get to demonstrate who he is, and it opens doors just to share with people that might not hear us out on why we believe what we believe and who Jesus is to us. I think I had oh wow, lots more notes. Yeah, I think I also wanted to just let you guys know that anybody can do this. Like, I'm not perfect by any means, and I've been in missions 1 year, for a whole year, going through trainings. The Lord's like digging up all this stuff in my heart, and I'm like, whoa, I'm broken. But 2 weeks ago, I spent 6 hours. This thing came up that affected me, past relationship. I didn't realize it would affect me the way it did. And so I'm like, okay, Lord, if I'm reacting like this, something's got to be like going down on the inside. And for 6 hours, he uncovered like this root and this ongoing thing that had been going on in my life of lust for 6 hours. And this is after a year in the mission field, after a year of all this, like, Lord, I love you, I want to follow you. So, and honestly, it was so like refreshing and just great. It's like, Lord, you still love me, you still let me go through that and experience you in such a close way, even though that was still in my heart. And you just patiently like brought it up and healed me. So yeah, we don't have to be perfect. Jesus is really good. Oh, another thing. Has anybody read the book Love Languages? Okay, you're going to have to help me with this because I haven't read it, but I had this thought. You know, when you're reading it and it talks about the 5 different languages, are you trying to understand how to love other people or more how you receive love? Or both? Okay. Well, I was thinking, I always ask people what their love language is because I'm like, oh, if it's quality time, then I know hang out with you and you'll feel loved. And I was realizing through this that Jesus is like the pro at love languages, because even these refugees, I was like, Lord, like they've got to know you. If they just knew Jesus, they would have everything they need in life. Like they don't need money and big houses and cars. They would see that in America, that's not what makes people happy and give them joy. It's Jesus. Jesus is all we need. And so, yeah, I'm like, Lord, can't you just like open the heavens and show them you're powerful, you can do whatever you want? And he's not like that because they don't need to feel love that way. You know, they've experienced power manipulated. They've experienced people saying, this is what you need to believe. And here, Jesus comes in as like a servant with little old my hands and big cheesy smiles like, hey, I want to be your friend and remember your name and serve you food that you don't like, but meet your needs. And that's God. He's like, I'm not going to come in this forceful, like you can, like even, I kind of think it was a good thing that we couldn't share our faith because then we're not shoving it in their faces like, well, if you just believe this, but they come to us, and if they want to learn, if they want to receive, we get to share it with them. But it's really just Jesus meeting them by serving them with acts of love. Oh, yeah, I was pretty blown away. I think when... Oh, yeah, another thing. Sorry. Bunny trail. But to act in love, for me, all it's been is abiding in Christ, which is just saying, here I am, Lord, send me. Here I am, Lord, have my life. And yeah, it's being in that relationship with him, and he's like, hey, you want to go to Greece with me? I'm like, yeah, sure do. And I have never experienced God like that before. Like I literally cried all the time, and I normally don't cry like that, but it's just because his presence was so thick there, and I saw that here's this need in the world, and God is like, his heart is so in the midst of it because he loves us, and he sees when we're in this pit and feel like we have nothing to give and no hope and no life, and he wants to speak life back into it and say, no, you're valuable, I'm right here, I got you, I want to give you hope. So yeah, I think this ties into the Speaking Life series. Oh yeah, I'm gonna say that a lot tonight. I think one of the coolest things for me was seeing, oh no, just a little longer. Okay, almost done. But literally, I wanted to talk about the power of speaking life, whatever way that is, because the way that I got to do it, and with acts of love, like it caused transformation. I saw it from when the first little bit that we walked in till when we left. We would walk in, people, literally, you walk in the camp, I felt like I was gonna die. There's like all these men. It's also mainly men in this camp. And they're like rough faces, not happy. And like after a while you get to know them and they'll still be walking like that, but you just, hey, like, how are you? Having a good day? And just liven up. Like they'll, oh, hi, I'm good, how are you? And so I think that was like one small little thing that made a huge difference. And even, oh goodness. So there's this one place called the Olive Grove. It was all like, there were 160 big old African men, like big buff, strong guys. I distributed the breakfast to them, chocolate-filled croissants. They only get one. They could eat a lot more than one. So they're like intense. And they're like my friend, I need a croissant up here. And I was like, no one sleeps there. I'm sorry, I can't. Everyone only gets one. Or then I have to give everyone two. He's like, no, you didn't give me one. Put one up here. I'd be like, what? I think I gave you one. And they just like, okay. So just like they're responding with life, like the speaking truth in love, like, no, I think I gave you one. And they go from this, I need a croissant, to, okay. So I think, yeah, just small acts of love, saw it transforming the place. And even through picking up trash, which is not fun, and it's a very menial task. Like, who cares about trash? Who wants to do that job? But through picking it up, it's like, you know what? This is their home. I want to make it more homey for them, even if they're not learning from it. But yeah, I know it meant a lot to them, because when I'd pick up trash, they'd invite me in and be like, hey, we cooked a dish. Do you want some food? Like, okay, yeah. But yes, so I think acts of love and following that example of Jesus, and the greatest act of love, it does speak life, and it gives opportunity just to share about who Jesus is and his love for his people. So, and anybody can do it. It's fun wherever you are. But that's all. Thanks for listening.
Here's your shirt, Kat. Whoa. Yeah, so that's awesome. Like, speaking life, we're talking about this, and Lika's been talking about speaking, actually, words that you're speaking out of your mouth. But we see that with the testimony of this, that the acts that we do speak louder than the words that we say. So we speak life with the acts of love that we get to do, and it's like a double-fold blessing, right? So not only do we speak with our actions, but that act of love opens up doors that we are able to speak the life, the true life to them. So it's both. Can't just speak life with your words, you got to speak it with your whole being. So thank you, Whitney. That was awesome. Let's pray, and then we'll dismiss. Father God, thank you for who you are, God. I thank you for tonight. Lord, I thank you for this wonderful testimony about how you work in people's lives, Lord, how you send your hands and your feet to do menial things that we don't want to do. Yet you turn the work, God, when we're willing to sacrifice, to do what you've told us to do. You turn that work into something that's beautiful for your kingdom. God, you get to open up eyes. You speak your life through our actions. And you give us opportunity to speak you, the one who is true life, to those people who are desperately in need of you, God. So I thank you for this wonderful testimony, God. Your word says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And I thank you that we get to hear what you do in your church. So just thank you for tonight, God. I pray that you would bless all these wonderful people here as they go about their life, Lord. And make this lesson be real to us, God. That we can speak life with our words, but our actions are louder, and we need to do both. So be with us as we strive to do that. In your Son's name, amen.